Have you ever wondered how technology can transform the daunting task of onboarding and integrating new hires and put it into a seamless and engaging experience? Well, on today's episode, we're going to be diving deep into the world of digital adoption with a very special guest. He's the visionary founder and CEO of a company called Apty. And Apty in recent years has emerged as a game changer in guiding enterprises through digital transformation, but ensuring that investments in things like web applications translate into real measurable value. And my guest today, Krishna, he's got such a rich background, and Apty's innovative approach is something I want to learn more about, along with exploring how digital adoption platforms are actually revolutionising the way that businesses onboard new employees, enhance productivity, and ensure software value realisation. So today we're going to tackle some of those pressing challenges faced by enterprises in technology integration and improving user experience. And we'll also shed light on Apty's cloud-based software solution and why that's not just about easing that onboarding process, but fundamentally it's about transforming employee engagement and productivity. So you can expect insights into optimizing tech investments, ensuring business process compliance during digital transformations, and also the evolution of digital adoption platforms. Moreover, Krishna is going to highlight some key factors enterprises should consider when choosing the right solution for digital adoption needs. And we may have a few success stories to share along the way too. Now, before I get today's guest on, a quick shout out to the sponsors of Tech Talks Daily, because in today's remote first world, I think settling for outdated managed file transfer solutions means ultimately you're risking your sensitive data. But if you upgrade to Kiteworks, the gold standard in secure MFT, boasting FedRAMP moderate authorization, Kiteworks isn't just secure, it's a complete transformation of how your business handles file transfers and communications. And with this state-of-the-art file sharing, email security, and a platform that's as robust as it is user-friendly, Kiteworks is empowering you to manage and protect your data like never before. So say goodbye to compromise and hello to unmatched security and efficiency. And you can do that by making the switch to kiteworks.com. Visit kiteworks.com to begin. That's kiteworks.com to secure your data and empower your business. But now, let's get today's guest on. So buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to the US, where today's guest is waiting to join us. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell everyone listening a little about who you are and what you do?
Sure. First of all, thanks for having me, Neil. My name is Krishna Dunthoori. I'm a founder, CEO of a digital adoption platform company called Apty. We started about 5 years ago, and primarily what we do is help enterprises and enterprise users to better use their day-to-day software, right? Our platform is designed to help enterprises, seamlessly integrate technology into their daily operations, be it an operations manager, a project manager, or as an enterprise employee, they have to use multiple applications on a day-to-day basis, and we help, basically streamline, how they interact with those softwares.
And I think it's absolutely crucial, the work that you're doing here. If I look back through my own IT career, it was very often the business would have a need for something. They put this new shiny technology in, but they don't think about the corporate culture. They don't think of how to get everybody involved in adopting this. So for people that are listening, hearing about Apty for the very first time, hearing about maybe even the concept of a digital adoption platform, can you tell me how it uniquely addresses some of the challenges that enterprises face with technology integration and user experience? Because it is such a big topic in every organization around the world, isn't it?
Absolutely. And maybe I'll start with my own experience, which actually prompted, me to take this journey, right? So, again, it's coming from the technology background, software development background and all, and, I was pretty fortunate very early on, having worked in Europe, in the US. I was responsible for implementing or deploying this enterprise software for users. And, very often what is absolutely easy for us, right? I could just close my eyes and think about, how I find my way in a complex software. When we actually think it from the end user's point of view, even some of the basic things is pretty difficult, right? Because we take things for granted as technology people, but imagine a, new employee joining a large insurance company, and they have to be trained on 5 different, enterprise systems that they have to work with, and, hundreds and sometimes even thousands of different processes that they have to remember and follow and all that. And it's just not easy. And plus, to be honest, no enterprise software is Instagram, right? It's pretty boring too, right? So, attending those training sessions and trying to recall what you learned from training and all, and try to, remember exactly how to do what to do. And the cost of not doing things in the right way for an enterprise is actually humongous, right? One of our customer is a large procurement company, and they told us that even 5% increase in compliance when people are inputting the data would result in about $80 to $100 million savings per year, right? Just a 5% improvement. So when you put these things in perspective, and the problem that we are solving is actually a much needed problem and a much bigger problem. And the way we solve, and to answer your question, is we basically handhold the user in the system, and regardless of whether this is your first day or 100th day or 1000th day, doesn't matter. We handhold the user like, this is how we do it. And on the way, when you are actually interacting with your software, like, take an example, Oracle or Workday, whatever, and if you're making mistake or if you're not following the process, we will guide you to make sure that you're following the process. We'll help you to make sure that you are inputting the right data in the right fields. So as an end user, then you don't have to be worried about, getting trained all the time and remembering what to do all the time. We are your GPS while you are doing your job, and we'll ensure that you're getting to the right destination.
And as someone that's approaching 3,000 interviews with startup founders and business leaders, very often the origin story behind these companies is they've encountered that problem firsthand themselves. Is there an origin story of what inspired you to create Apty, and how has the platform evolved since to meet those changing needs of businesses in terms of software adoption?
Absolutely. I mean, this whole idea of starting a software company and basically coming up with solution, definitely came from our own experience, right? Because we were prior to starting Apty, I started another company back in 2010. It's a boutique services company where we were helping companies to implement enterprise software like project management software and HR software and stuff. What we found out was it doesn't really matter. It didn't really matter how sophisticated the software was and how well the deployment was done. In some cases, how well the training was done. It's only a matter of time. For some customers, it was just 6 months. For some customers, it was maybe a year, where they start really thinking that, we are not really getting the value from this software investment, right? So we bought this huge, software and rolled it out to all 10,000 users, but we're still getting the same amount of support tickets. We're still getting the same amount of training requests. People are still not completing, tasks in the system the way they should be. And I can't still rely on any of the reports that are coming from the system. I'm still having to email or maybe, those days, like, Skype them to find out what is happening in their side of the business. So then what's the point of having this software that's supposed to make our life easier, but in reality it was not. And when we started digging into this, it was not the software problem. It was not, let's say, the business requirements problem or the process problem. The problem was the end user was not just adapting to this new technology, right? For them, it was overwhelming. For them, no amount of training would help them, 90 days from now in exactly remembering what they should do to create a new invoice for a new region, right? So maybe they have been trained, maybe they have not been trained, but who is going to remember after 90 days, right? And this was the problem. So this was, like, I'm just giving one example, but the problem, the problem is compounded, when you put 10,000 users of a multinational company across multiple regions, multiple business units and stuff, you have a clear problem of your employees and users not adapting to the technology that you're throwing at them. And the sooner you identify the gap, the sooner you take action to close that gap, the better productivity you can expect. If not, then users are users, right? They attend the training. You can push them. You can push them once, twice, but after that, they're going to start ignoring the trainings. They're going to start ignoring the PDFs that you have put them in the knowledge portal. What really, really helps them is, as a user, are they able to complete the task, when they are in the system, and can we help them in completing the task seamlessly? And that's the gap that Apty solves for them. And this is what we actually experienced with, our own enterprise customers, that they were lacking in, and by not having this, and they were still relying on traditional training methods, classroom-based trainings or computer-based trainings, where no amount of training, Neil, as you can imagine, it's like the manual that's coming with your 75-inch TV. I bet you're not going to open the manual to understand all the settings. You just want to watch a quick video, or you just want to even get the instructions on the TV itself, that can help you on how to use the TV. And that's exactly what Apty does. And this was lacking. And that was, pushing a lot of enterprise dollars into the drain, lack of productivity and all. And we're tackling that.
100% right. And I can't remember the last time I picked up an instruction manual for all those reasons you just named. And just to further bring this to life, to what business value this offers, what ROI on this tech project could deliver for business leaders listening, let's look at a universal problem, the onboarding process. For somebody starting day one of an organization, can you maybe share how Apty enhances that onboarding process for new employees, and also maybe expand on the impact that it has on their productivity and engagement and on all those things that just allow a new starter to almost hit the ground running?
Absolutely. So first of all, what Apty as a digital engagement platform, as I mentioned at the beginning, what we do is we completely transform an employee onboarding process, right? So, let's assume, let's first understand, the typical process. The typical process could be a new employee comes, once their HR formalities are done, then they are sent to the department training, right? Hey, these are all the things that you need to be trained on. Some, you do by yourself, some, maybe your team does, your manager does, or the L&D does, or maybe in most of the cases, what happens is these trainings are, pre-built, pre-captured, and you'll be given a certain amount of time to go and do this training offline, right? But reality is, very, very rare. We see that people who go through this training, come out and say, "Oh man, those trainings were super helpful. Now I know everything that I need to." It's anything but. But when you put a solution like Apty in the mix, what we do is we basically help the users learn in real time on day one, right? Let's say you are a new salesperson, you've been selected to work with the team to sell the new product or service, whatever. Even if it's your day one, whatever the software that you need to work with, whatever the CRM, Salesforce, Oracle, or Dynamics, whatever it may be, Apty will essentially teach you on the job in real time while you're in the system, right? So even if you have never seen the system before, you can just simply go and ask the question, "Hey, how do I create a new opportunity? Or how do I enter a new lead? Or how do I update an account?" It'll just walk you through while onboarding you. You are also completing your task on day one, right? So that's the real-time interaction is a big, unique difference. What this does is this approach reduces the learning curve, enables the new hires to become proficient much faster. The ramp-up time is completely cut down to days, because I remember working for some big manufacturing companies where they had their ramp-up time as 3 months, meaning you're paying for someone for 3 months before they give you any ounce of productivity. And that's a huge, huge investment by companies. And most of the ramp-up is basically teaching them how to do their stuff in their systems that they're being deployed to. So we can completely cut that down to days, right? Within a week, we can make the user productive because we are in the system, we're doing the tasks live, we're teaching them, we're hand-holding them, we're showing them how to do, and we are also correcting if they do something wrong. And we are also learning, because no two individuals learn the product in the same way, right? You may have a different style and I may have a different style. So we learn that too, and then we basically personalize the learning, that suits the user. So a lot of these things come together to make sure that the ramp up time is cut down. And most importantly, when you give an impeccable, streamlined experience of onboarding to the employee or the user, they'll remember it forever, right? Most of the companies, what they do is they hire the best employee. And so within the first 3 weeks, 4 weeks of their employment, they're already, man, this is too overwhelming. This is too much. I don't get any help. They're not really expecting somebody to, pull their chair and come to their desk and handhold them. That's not what they're expecting. What they're expecting is, can I be onboarded, in a very streamlined and a simple way, so I know what I need to do, right? So that's where Apty can be very helpful for companies.
And of course, we are living through a period of economic uncertainty. Many businesses forced to do more with less, and every new tech project it comes under close scrutiny, really, for the ROI and business value that it will generate. So in terms of software efficiencies and value, how does Apty contribute to optimizing existing technology investments within an organization? Because again, incredibly important right now. Absolutely.
There's actually a study out there, and I don't want to quote wrongly, but it was one of the famous analytics groups that published out there. Anybody can just Google. So there's essentially 70% of the companies that are, let's say, deploying this enterprise software, and very little of that ever get used properly. Right. So you have this huge HR system that has every feature, every, capability that you can think of. And then, you roll it out across your company thinking, once this HR system is out, I will not have a single problem with my HR management anymore. Right. So that's the investment that's coming from the business side. But in reality, very little of that, is ever used. Right. Again, we do that all the time in our real life too, right? So sometimes you buy a gadget or a device and all, and that gadget or device can do 15 different things, but you probably will ever only use it for like 2 things. That's pretty much it, right? So about 80% of the capability that the device or the gadget has, you don't ever use. And this happens a lot in technology, right? So companies buy way more software, way more technology than they ever need, and only about 10% or less than 10% of that is actually used. And the primary reason for this is lack of adoption, right? So what a digital adoption platform or a solution like Apty could do is it can maximize your technology usage, right? So very, very often you might have, a software suite that is bought by your company, and that software suite might do 50 different things, right? So it could be the one that helps you in organizing your tasks. It could be the one that helps you in communicating with your team better. It could be the one that actually can update, your day-to-day tasks and task management and all. But if you don't know that the software can do these things and can do efficiently, you're never going to use it. You're never going to explore that. You're never going to and then you think, that, you need maybe 3 different other tools to actually make this functionality work. But in reality, your software might have these capabilities already, right? So, it could be just learning. It could be just, a little bit of an open mind to tweak and understand. But when you have a digital engagement, software like ours in the mix, this is what we do. We not only help the users to use the core features, but we also help the users to use all the features, maximizing the usage of the software, maximizing the usage. Again, all this in the context of offering the real-time in the application, real-time guidance, real-time, hand-holding and all. So this leads to better data integrity, streamlined process, reduction of support costs, because most of the times, most of L1, L2 or level 1, level 2, for your audience, Neil, the reason why you get a lot of these requests is people just don't know the technology that they've been asked to work with. What are all the things it can do? So you just assume that it doesn't do a lot of things, and then you keep contacting support or training, like, hey, I want to do this. How do I do this? I want to do this. How do I do this? I'm trying this. It's not working. And all what support does is they also look into the help manuals and say, oh, you do this, you do that. We can replace all of that, with help of a solution like Apty.
And I think with the arrival of artificial intelligence over the last 12 to 18 months, I think every business leader now accepts that things like a digital transformation is a journey, not a destination. It's certainly not a box-ticking exercise. You've got to continuously evolve. And, of course, it's becoming an increasing objective for every business. So how does Apty facilitate this transformation, particularly in terms of ensuring business process compliance? Because the goalposts seem to keep moving, and you have to keep evolving, keep adapting, right?
Absolutely. And in fact, we have already seen some significant successes here, right? Some significant wins. For example, Mattel is one of our customer. We were able to increase 90% of adoption in Workday. Workday being this big HR software, that they've been struggling to roll it out, right? They have rolled it out, but people just don't use it. And if they don't use it, what happens is your big software investment that has all these business processes and the compliance that you're expecting to have, people are just not going to do it. They're still sending you offline emails. They're, let's say, completing a new resource hire in emails and Slack channels, but you don't, but that's out of compliance. You don't want them to do it, right? So you want them to properly record that in a system and follow the process, right? And when you put a technology or a software in the mix here, and you train the users, and sometimes you just expect them to use and follow the process, but the reality is it doesn't happen that way. It doesn't happen that easily, right? Because users are users. They have their own reasons why they would do certain things, why they don't want to do certain things, and all. And sometimes, again, in the context of enterprise software where we focus, the enterprise softwares are just not user-friendly. They're not, right? You can never have your Oracle or a Dynamics or Salesforce look and feel like Instagram. It's not going to happen. You cannot just scroll your way up and down, to complete your updates. So in that case, what happens is, bringing compliancy, bringing efficiency is going to be very difficult. And that's why these companies get into this vicious cycle of constantly investing in training, constantly investing in solution integrations, and constantly investing in support and stuff. But with the advancement in technology, as we're talking about, and we are also incorporating the new Gen AI module in that, you can significantly reduce these efforts and help the end user to be much better compliant. Like, for Mattel, we have, increased the efficiency by about 90% in their workday. And for Mary Kay, a big cosmetic company globally, we have significantly helped their, vendor onboarding process, right? Which we changed that compliance by about 30-40%. And there's another global bank that uses Apty today, and we were able to bring 80% increase in data quality. 80% increase, because now we can enforce these business compliancy rules. Like, you cannot leave the screen if you don't correct these mistakes, right? So then we push the user to do the right thing. And imagine, for a big bank that is always dealing with the challenges of employees entering the wrong data, right? That could lead to catastrophe, right? Maybe a big financial loss or whatever. But if you have rules, and if you have processes, and you have easy ways to enforce them, in this case, by means of Apty and all, you can significantly improve the compliance.
And as someone right in the heart of this space, if we were to zoom out for a moment, look at that broader landscape, how do you see digital adoption platforms evolving in the next few years? And what role, of course, do you see Apty playing in this evolution too?
I think, first of all, the digital adoption space, I think, is going to be an integral part of every business ecosystem, right? So, 3, 4, 5 years from now, I will be very surprised if there's a CIO or a CTO out there, who is not looking at incorporating a digital adoption solution as part of their overall ecosystem, overall technology ecosystem, right? So it's like, you buy the best, software out there, technology out there, but it's only as good as how people are adapting to it. And if you're not doing something to adapt to it, it's just going to collect the dust, right? So, and more and more companies are getting smarter at this and understanding that, hey, it's not just buying the best technology, it's getting the best ROI on the technology, right? And sometimes, the technology itself will not be able to give the ROI. You need the right tools and services to, extract that ROI. And that's what digital adoption platform does. And within this, I think the focus is going to be more on, again, for an enterprise user, more personalized interactive support, and integrated with Gen AI. So as an enterprise employee today, what happens, Neil, is a typical enterprise employee, they have to switch between 4 to different systems and applications, on a typical workday to get things done. And this is the reason why companies have huge investments in support and L&D and change management and all, because it's not easy, right? It's not easy for them to, remember what to do and remember, how to do it and remember, what data to fill, what data not to fill and all. And plus, adding to this, problem, most of these systems are not user friendly, right? They're complex systems. You have to find your way, you have to navigate your way, to go to the right screen, to get the right information and stuff. So not only the digital adoption platforms are going to be essential, and personalizing this with the help of, emerging technologies or new technologies like AI, and completely bringing that seamless experience, to the forefront. And we at Apty are definitely at the forefront of this. And even compared to our competitors, we're already bringing certain things, ahead in the market, where, we are leveraging AI, we're leveraging machine learning, that provides a more tailored experience, that provides a much more streamlined experience, all in the context of how do we ensure that we get more productivity out of your enterprise, employee within the context of digital engagement, right? So that's basically how we are leading innovation.
And for anybody listening anywhere in the world that is inspired by your story here, and maybe their business is looking to implement a digital adoption platform, and they're in those very early stages, what key factors should they consider to ensure they choose the right solution for their needs? Because there are so many, it's a crowded market, a lot of different solutions out there. There's a lot of people may have misleading statements in there. What should they be looking to ensure that they avoid making any mistakes?
Absolutely. I'm glad you asked, because yes, there's too much noise, right? And plus, this is also, a little bit of a mouthful name for the category, if you will, right? So, not everybody really understands what it is. A lot of people think they're just training tools and stuff. And look, there are a lot of players out there that take advantage of that also, right? But again, from an enterprise, adoption or enterprise software adoption point of view, when you're selecting a DAP, you want to make sure that, you consider, at least the following, right? So like, the ease of integration, scalability, and the ability, because you're not going to buy a digital adoption platform for 1 or 2 softwares. You want a solution that is safe and secure, to start with, but also can scale to your entire, company landscape. You might have 25 different apps in 5 different countries and geographies and stuff. So you want to make sure that, you go and select a partner who can do this, right? And who also has the capabilities of contextual guidance and real-time guidance and, in data security, like, North American data security and European data security, personal, data protection and all that. So security and compliance is huge. Scalability is huge. And you also want to make sure that, this application, whatever you're choosing, it also excels in these areas where you can scale and you can provide that seamless experience for the end user when they switch from one enterprise app to other enterprise app. Right? There are very few tools that can do, and we're proud that we're one of them in the market today. But at the end of the day, if you are compromising any or one of these, then you're going to buy a tool that only is basically a half-baked solution, and it only solves the problem partially. And you want to make sure that you're getting a comprehensive solution and not just a minor version of it.
Fantastic advice. So we started the podcast talking about your origin story, what inspired the creation of Apty. And as we come full circle now, I'm going to ask you, what was the soundtrack to that origin story, or just a song that means something to you that you'd recommend everyone listening check out, and we'll add it to our Spotify playlist. But all I'm going to ask is, what would you like to leave everyone listening with, and why?
I mean, I'm not sure how many of your listeners are Bollywood lovers, but obviously having born and raised in India, of course now living in the US, but I'm a huge fan of music. Language doesn't matter, but there's this music director called A.R. Rahman, also an Oscar Award winner, very famous. Any kid who was born in late 80s and early 90s. Can relate to growing up with A.R. Rahman's music. And one of the song in a movie called Lagan, the song is Bar Bar Ha, so it's basically, there's a team that's going, and by the way, this movie is about the British colony time and all that. The team comes from a small village and preparing themselves to, beat an English team in cricket. But this team has never played cricket in their life. They never even held a bat and held the ball. So while they were training and preparing themselves to take up this challenge, this song comes in the background. Very inspirational. The lyrics are amazing. The sound, the music is amazing. Again, the movie name is Lagan and the song is Bar Bar. So, go check it out. You'll love it.
Oh, also, I'm going to be adding that straight to the Spotify playlist. I love that. And for anybody listening, just wanting to find out more information about Apty, exploring some of the topics we discussed today in a little more detail, or contacting you or your team, where would you like to point everyone listening?
Absolutely. So, again, anyone can find us right on the net, apty.io, apty.io. And we are also very, very active on LinkedIn. There's always, new messages and events, that we are posting about what we are doing and stuff. But definitely, find us on the web on apty.io and just, contact us or give us a holler, and we'll be happy to engage in any conversation that you want to know more.
Well, one of the big themes in this podcast is all about bringing people together through technology and solving real-world problems. And I love how your digital adoption platform is solving that unique challenge that enterprises face when trying to orchestrate people, processes, and indeed technology, and how you enable employees to use their technology, enforce business process compliance, and accelerate digital transformation. It is no mean feat. I know how complicated that is, and you seem to have made it appear easy. I know there's a lot of work goes into that, but just thank you so much for not only shining a light on this, but also sharing the story behind it.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for the opportunity. Thank you, Neil.
I think it's clear, having spoken with Krishna there, that the future of work is not just about adopting new technologies, but it's also about how effectively we can integrate these tools into our daily operations. And Krishna's perspective on digital adoption and Apty's role in facilitating smoother transitions for new hires and enhancing productivity, I think, is testament to the power of technology in solving real-world business problems, not just using tech for tech's sake. So as we look ahead, the evolution of digital adoption platforms, I think, promises to further empower enterprises in their digital transformation journeys. But what are your thoughts, especially on the impact of digital adoption platforms like Apty in the modern workplace? And have you experienced the benefits of streamlined onboarding and software integration firsthand? Share your stories, both good and bad. I'd love to hear both sides of this tale of what it should look like and some of the horror stories that you may have encountered. So please, email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, just @NeilCHughes. Let me know your thoughts on this one. And we'll continue that conversation about how technology is shaping the future of work. But tomorrow we've got another topic and another fantastic guest. I'm not going to say anything about who it is, no spoilers, but it's a cracker. So just a big thank you for listening today, and hopefully I will speak with you all again bright and early tomorrow morning.